Today we are going to explain a 2019 survival horror film called 47 Meters Down, Uncaged, which is also a standalone sequel to the 47 Meters Down, 2017. Be aware, there are spoilers. The movie begins with a scene of a high school in Mexico, where a group of famous girls make fun of an outcast student named Mia. The mean girl Catherine pushes Mia towards the pool, saying it was an accident. As Catherine confronts the other three friends, including Mia's stepsister Sasha, Alexa, and Nicole, Sasha says Mia isn't her sister, and they quickly leave the pool. The two then are picked up by Sasha's mother, Jennifer. However, Sasha and Mia both do not want to tell their mother what happened. At home, Mia's father, Grant, questions Sasha about Mia, but the girl tells him it's not her fault when nobody likes Mia at school. Grant appears to be disappointed as Sasha, telling her to try to look out for each other. Sasha reluctantly agrees and leaves. As they talk, it reveals that the family has moved to Mexico, following Grant's job as an explorer of underwater cave systems. At dinner, Grant, who wants to break the tense atmosphere of the sisters, shows a white shark tooth. It was found during a cave diving expedition. Grant then introduces some of the photos he took in an uncovered passageway. Mia also shares the same interest as her father, asking why sharks are found there. Grant has no idea, but he guesses they might go after seals and get lost in the tunnels hundreds of years ago. To get the two girls to spend some quality time together, Grant and Jennifer offer them a trip to see great white sharks in their natural habitats tomorrow. The shark tooth was meant to be a clue, according to Jennifer. However, Sasha becomes pissed off as she already planned to hang out with her friends. She then leaves the table. The following morning, Grant and his two assistants, Ben and Carl, drop the two girls at the rendezvous for the trip. However, Alexa and Nicole decide to kidnap Sasha from the dock for their planned trip. Alexa tells Sasha that this is a secret place that no tourist would ever find in a million years. She also emphasizes that this is a chance of a lifetime. Sasha gets so excited with the idea, but just as she is about to leave, she goes to Mia first. Sasha asks if Mia wants to get out of the stupid trip and come along with her friends. Mia reluctantly follows the girls, knowing that the presence of Catherine would ruin this trip anyway. The four girls then make fun of Catherine, showing their fingers, and drive off. Alexa then drives the friends along the coastal road, giving them the most enjoyable moments in this beautiful country. According to Ben, who is Alexa's boyfriend, there is a secret lagoon, and he has prepared a party for the girls there. Upon arriving at a cliffside, the four are stunned by the amazing view. They jump straight into the water instead of taking the path. Mia is scared of jumping, so Sasha takes her hand and the two make it together. Mia appears to have a really good time with Sasha's friends. The foursome enjoys so much fun together, saying this is so much better than the ridiculous white shark trip. While relaxing, Nicole finds some masks and diving equipment. Alexa discloses that the lagoon actually leads to a submerged Mayan city, where Sasha's stepdad Grant, Ben, and others are preparing for a team of archaeologists to arrive the following week. These gears belong to them. Mia becomes more curious about the given information. Alexa even reveals that Ben took her there once last week, and it was super cool. It looks like a burial underground cave with old statues, altars, and other insane stuff, according to Alexa. Getting amazed by what Alexa experienced, Nicole and Sasha suggest sneaking off to dive through the city using the available equipment. Mia argues cave diving is dangerous, and for that, they shouldn't take any risks. However, the three girls convince Mia that it would be as easy as riding a bike. The four then grab the gears and get ready to dive in. As the four jump in the water, Alexa reminds them to check their air gauges for the last time, making sure their tanks are full. The devices show all 100% full of oxygen, reassuring the group. All set, they head to the entrance, which is at the bottom of the steps. The group enters a narrow tunnel, which eventually leads to an ancient sacrificial chamber. Alexa turns on the light, which was built by Ben's team, and the whole ruins of an ancient Mayan temple wow the girls. As Nicole is about to take the lead, Alexa stops her, telling her to step back and always keep behind her. Alexa knows the areas quite well, and she tells the friends to take one last lap around the altar before heading back. They all agree. While admiring the old carvings, Nicole spots something moving. Alexa tells her there is nothing alive down here, and that she shouldn't mess up with the deal earlier. Yet, Nicole ignores the warnings and heads to the nearby moving creature. Helpless, Alexa and the sisters have to follow Nicole. They then see a very big Mexican tetra swimming down in this temple. They learn that it's evolved blind as there is no light here. They can move around thanks to heightened senses. Nicole assumes this kind of fish may never know humans, so the fish is hiding from us. Suddenly, the Tetra swims towards the group and scares Nicole with its high-pitched sound. Frightened, Nicole drops backwards and collapses to the stone columns. This causes a commotion, separating the girls. In a chaos, Mia and Alexa can see each other, swimming around to look for the other two. They bump into Ben, who is working in the same area. Mia tries to make an excuse for the mess they have made, but Ben tells the hysterical Mia to calm down. Ben promises to get the girls out of this temple before Grant finds out. Suddenly, a huge shadowy creature appears out of nowhere and attacks Ben. He is killed tragically, dropping the guideline and dyeing the surroundings red. The two girls quickly learn it is a giant white shark, so they flee right away. They rejoin Nicole and Sasha again on the way out. As Alexa talks about what happened to Ben, Nicole disbelieves and tells him it's time to head back. When they swim near the tunnel, a shark emerges and attacks the four. Due to the small entrance, the shark can't make it inside. However, the tunnel is starting to collapse due to the crashing from the giant beast. The girls end up being trapped inside for the moment. Mia suggests going back to look for Ben's guideline, which eventually leads them to where Grant and Carl are working. They check for the air, which has run down to approximately 40%. Alexa is worried about the shark, but Sasha reminds the girls that it is blind. They need to stay close to get over this before the air runs low. Finally, the girls can find the line lying down on the sea floor. They rush to follow the line, hoping to reach Grant and Carl soon. As they swim through the catacombs, there are a lot of human skeletons. The group then sees that the line ends there. Alexa becomes panicked, warning the city is a maze. Their tanks are running low, so they can't risk going any further. Sasha disputes they can't go back either. Being left with no choice, the girls keep moving forward. All of a sudden, a shark pops out again, forcing the girls to get deeper into the city. They hold hands tight and stay still to avoid the shark. They temporarily send the shark away. Unfortunately, as one of the tanks runs low, it goes off, drawing the shark to come back. The group then retreats in a cave nearby. We don't know who left the grate there, but it saves their lives, and that's what matters. The four are able to get some air in a narrow air pocket, buying them some time before their next move. They all only have 20% air left. They hear some music in the water. Mia thinks it must be her dad, as she has a habit of listening to music while working. Mia then leaves the girls behind in an attempt to get help by a gap at the end of the air pocket. Meanwhile, Carl is working with very loud music somewhere in the city. Unfortunately, he doesn't know the shark approaching him from behind. Carl becomes the next flesh party of the beast in a second. The emergency alarm rings off as he is torn apart. Back to Mia, she can hear the alarm in a close distance. She heads towards the sounds and gets frightened when she comes across Carl's remaining body. She eventually meets Grant, and the two set out to find the other girls together. As the two of them meet up with the girls again, Mia is saved from being attacked thanks to Alexa, who distracts the shark by hitting the torch to the column. The group makes their escape in the nick of time by creating some noises around the shark, getting it lost. And the five did it to reach the surface in the cave. Grant then tells the girls about the Ascender, which is able to carry one up at a time to the ground. Alexa is the first one to try and ascend. There are two sharks emerging from below again. Nicole panics and grabs to the rope from Alexa. As the rope can only take one person, it becomes loose. Alexa has to step back, and Nicole eventually reaches the top. She accidentally slips and falls back down into the water before turning to the shared meal of the two craving sharks. Alexa crazily calls out for help, but Grant reassures the girls that the sharks are gone due to the sounds of the alarm, which scared them away. Grant explains that as the Ascender is broken, the only way out now is to swim back down even deeper in order to find another exit. This cave goes out to the sea, which will let them come out into the ocean. But before he can do so, a shark surfaces and kills him right away, leaving Mia and Sasha devastated. The trio decides to follow what Grant taught and dive in again. The shark approaches, but before it can make any move, a huge current sends Sasha away. Her fate is uncertain. Alexa then has to pull devastated Mia together and decides that they need to keep going. The two begin to stick to the side to the other entrance. When Mia almost falls off to the current, Alexa makes it to grab her back in the safe way. On the way out, a shark storms out and catches Alexa on her back, and Mia is pulled to the current. Alexa escapes the shark by taking off her air tank, but eventually, while struggling in the water, she drowns. Elsewhere, Mia is sent away by the current, but Sasha, who is still alive, reaches out and takes her hand to a lower current zone. Impossible. The two decide to swim away from the strong current, only to find another quiet cave before being the next targets of the aggressive shark behind. As the tank runs to zero air, the sisters decide to take them off and hold their breath to the surface. They made it again. They see a tour boat on the surface and begin swimming towards it until they realize it is chumming the water to attract sharks. Mia and Sasha draw the attention of the tourists as they are attacked by sharks. Sasha is grabbed by a shark while Mia makes it onto the boat. Just then, Sasha is released after Mia jumps into the water and shoots a shark with a flare gun. Sasha arrives at the boat, but Mia is again dragged down by another shark. She escapes by piercing the shark's eyes with the tooth Grant gave her. Mia swims towards the boat and she meets Sasha again while Catherine watches the boat crew take care of her wounds. Like and subscribe to watch more videos like this, and don't forget to turn on your notifications. That really helps my channel. Thanks for watching. Welcome to Movie Shortens. Follow us today to a 2013 American thriller film called Prisoners. Before we start, be aware, there are spoilers. As we begin the film, we see Keller Drover and his son Ralph driving back from a hunt. Keller explains to Ralph the importance of being ready in times of disaster. Later in the day, Grace Drover gets ready to leave home with her daughter Anna. Arriving at their neighbors, they are greeted by Nancy Birch. Franklin Birch plays with Anna and one of Birch's daughters, Joy. As everyone sets up for Thanksgiving dinner, Anna wants to go play outside with Joy. Keller says to ask Ralph to go with them, and they go off. Outside, Anna and Joy start to mess with an RV, but are pulled away by Ralph and Eliza. After dinner, Anna and Joy ask the adults if Anna can take Joy back to the Drover's house to find a whistle Anna misplaced. They are given permission to go, and the pair rush off. Sometime after, Keller asks Ralph and Eliza where their sisters are. Keller goes to his house to try and locate them, but can't find them. Keller goes back to the Birches, and nobody seems to know where Anna and Joy are. Ralph recalls the RV that they had passed earlier and takes Keller where it was located, but it's gone. Keller decides to call the police. Over at a diner, Detective Loki is eating alone and gets a call about the suspected RV. He finds the RV and goes to inspect it. The RV suddenly pulls away, but crashes just as quickly. Loki goes inside and finds Alex Jones in the rear of the RV. Alex is taken out to locate the girls, but he won't answer. Alex is then arrested. Loki continues the interrogation, but Alex denies all his accusations. Later in the night, Loki checks out Alex's aunt, Mrs. Holly's house, where he lives from time to time. Loki gets the report that Alex's RV is clear of any evidence and directs another police team back to Aunt Holly's house. The next day, Loki goes over to Drover's house, and Grace confides that people will probably think her and her husband are crazy when the girls come out of hiding just fine. Grace notes that Loki's captain said he had solved every case he had been working on. He states he will find Anna and Joy, and is interrupted as Keller joins them. Loki informs Keller that no evidence against Alex has been discovered, and in disbelief, Keller begins to question how that could be possible. Loki tries to pacify Keller, but Keller gets more and more upset. Loki assures Keller the police are considering all possibilities and that he will do his job. As Loki leaves, Keller asks if Alex will be kept in custody until the girls are found. Loki informs him that Alex will soon be released unless formal charges are brought forth. Loki makes multiple stops through the day and night and makes a final stop at Father Patrick Dunn's residence. Loki sees Father Patrick unconscious inside and proceeds to look around the home. Loki finds a hidden basement and goes in to investigate. He finds some statues and then locates a body tied to a chair. He wakes up Father Patrick and presses him for information about the body. The next day, the search party continues, and Keller gets a call from Grace letting him know Alex is being released. As Alex is released, he is swarmed by reporters. Keller comes and attacks Alex for information. Alex whispers that the girls didn't cry until he left them, and Keller is dragged away. Captain Richard tells Keller the police will ignore the attack, but that he needs to go home. Keller wants Alex arrested again, but Captain Richard tells him to fill Loki in on the new information. Later, Loki goes to visit Alex and Holly, asking if he said anything to Keller. Loki asks if Alex wants Holly to go to jail if he isn't telling the truth. He calls Keller and tells him he is moving on from Alex as a suspect. Keller then goes to comfort Grace, who just wants Anna to come home. She demands Keller make Anna come home, and Keller gives her some medicine to calm her down. Keller hands Ralph the pills and tells him to look after Grace while he goes to help the police. He goes to Holly's home and waits outside until nightfall. He gets a weapon and approaches Alex as he walks his dog. Keller asks where he heard the Christmas jingle he was singing, threatening him with the weapon. The next day, Keller takes Franklin to his old home where he is keeping Alex hostage. Franklin is shocked and says they should take Alex to the police. Keller says they need to force him to talk or their daughters will be gone forever. Keller talks to Alex and gives him one last chance to confess. We then hear a loud thud as Keller yells for Alex to confess what he knows. Meanwhile, Loki is back at the station looking up old child disappearance cases. He then goes to follow up the lead, talking to Mrs. Millen, who had her child abducted 26 years ago. It is very near to where Alex's RV was first sighted. Later that evening, Keller is still interrogating Alex, who is now badly injured. Alex refuses to talk, but Keller is sure he knows something. Keller threatens further, but Alex still gives up nothing. Franklin attends a vigil for the missing girls and comforts his grieving family. Loki is nearby and notices Brad Taylor placing a teddy bear amongst the candles. Loki follows as Brad leaves and takes off after him as Brad runs away. Loki chases Brad to a house and is surprised and attacked by Brad and ends up losing him by a busy road. The next day, Franklin and Nancy see Brad on the news as a new suspect, but leaves to go with Keller to interrogate Alex again. Keller is sure that Alex and Brad know each other and goes to find the truth. Franklin is visibly upset, but goes as well. Meanwhile, Loki informs Captain Richard that Alex never came back home from walking his dog some nights earlier. He questions why Alex wasn't under surveillance, and that he needs to know where everyone involved is. Loki re-watches his interrogation of Alex to see if he can find any new information. He receives a call and goes to a shopping center to meet with a witness about Brad. Meanwhile, at the abandoned house, Keller tells Franklin they are running out of time. Franklin returns home and is questioned by Nancy as to his whereabouts, and he confesses to Nancy. Shortly after, Nancy confronts Keller about kidnapping Alex. She demands to see Alex and is taken to him. Nancy begs Alex to help her find her daughter, unties him, but then Alex attacks her and tries to escape. Keller then shows Franklin and Nancy his new way of getting information from Alex. Franklin claims Keller doesn't even truly know that Alex is the culprit and this has to stop. Keller simply gives him the hammer and leaves. However, Nancy stops Franklin from opening up the device and they both leave as well. Meanwhile, Brad sneaks in on Eliza while Franklin and Nancy arrive home. Brad escapes into the Keller's home, waking Grace up. Grace thinks it's Anna as Brad again escapes. Ralph goes to calm her down and she explains to Loki what had happened. The next day, he tails Keller and follows him around town to the abandoned house. Keller notices Loki and goes to confront him. Keller gets in his car and Loki asks him where he was going. Keller lies, saying he just wanted to buy something from the store. Loki says he knows that Keller hasn't been helping the police like he told Grace. Loki informs Keller that Alex is missing, and Keller claims Alex left town because he's guilty. Keller becomes enraged, worrying about his daughter and demanding Loki look for her and not to follow him anymore. Keller walks home and goes to sleep. He hallucinates that Anna is beside him. He asks who did this to her, but wakes up before he gets an answer. Keller goes back to Alex and puts him through terrible pain to get any new information. At the same time, Loki comes to the house as Loki approaches. Keller rushes to hide as Loki comes inside. Loki comes across Keller on the floor and proceeds to look around. Keller shows Loki around the house, but Loki gets a call about Brad and rushes off. leaving Keller behind. Loki finds Brad at home and asks why Brad ran away from him. Brad tries to escape, but is captured. Loki begins to search the home while he calls for backup. He breaks into a room and finds a bunch of crates. He opens a crate and finds some dangerous snakes covered in bloody clothing. He does the same for the others with the same results. In the last crate, he finds a book full of mazes. He quickly takes it and leaves. Later, Loki informs Keller that they haven't found any bodies, but the Birches identify some of Joy's clothing that was found in the crates. Keller recognizes one of Anna's socks and begins to cry. He blames Loki for wasting time and not saving his daughter. Back at home, news reporters come to the Drovers' house. Keller tells Ralph not to talk to them, but Ralph counters that Eliza told him the girls were no longer alive. Keller insists it isn't true and to not let Grace know. Ralph says that Keller has just been leaving the family on their own, and Keller storms off in a rage. Meanwhile, Loki has been watching Brad go over the mazes Loki had found. Loki enters the room and asks what Brad is drawing. He attacks Brad when he won't tell him, but in the scuffle, Brad gets a hold of a weapon and ensures he won't tell the detectives anything. Back at the abandoned house, Keller prays for forgiveness and confesses to Alex he doesn't know what to do anymore, but knows Alex still knows something. Alex says he will find the girls in the maze. Keller demands to know where the maze is, but to no avail. Keller goes to Alex's aunt and apologizes. Elsewhere, Captain Richard tries to comfort Loki about not solving the case in time. Loki is extremely frustrated and breaks down. He then notices a picture similar to the maze Brad drew and gets a call. Loki goes to Brad's house and he is told that most of the evidence is fake and the mazes were just copies. Loki insists there is a connection and questions how Brad got Anna and Joy's clothes. He speeds back to the Drovers' house and finds evidence that Brad stole Anna's socks from the house. Grace gets a call, and while Keller pulls up to the house, she races out, saying that Joy was found, but not Anna. They rush to the hospital, to Franklin and Nancy. Keller tries to question Joy, but is stopped. Joy recalls the events that led up to her being found and says that Keller was present where they were taken. Keller races off and speeds onto the street. Loki pursues him to the abandoned house and hears Alex in pain. Keller shows up to Holly's house and offers to help fix things around the house to apologize. Once inside, he claims he knows the girls were at her home. Holly then points a weapon at him and forces him captive. She makes him put on handcuffs and orders him to drink a sedative in order to see his daughter. Keller gets a call, but is told to put his phone in the disposal. She confesses to kidnapping multiple children with her late husband. She forces him inside a car and calls the kidnappings a war to make people turn into monsters like Keller. Holly also confesses that Alex never harmed Anna or Joy, but she decided to take them. She leads him to a hole in the ground, injures him, and forces him inside. He falls inside, further hurting himself. She says that she will reunite him with his daughter in the hole and seal it shut. Meanwhile, Loki is told to notify Holly that the police have found Alex. Back in the hole, Keller struggles around and finds Anna's whistle. Loki arrives at Holly's, and as he knocks, Holly goes to where she has hidden Anna. Loki enters and hears movement in the house. He arrives just as Holly gives Anna an injection. She asks to be cremated and attacks Loki. He defends himself and leaves Holly to save Anna. He is badly injured, but speeds down the highway to get help and makes it to the ER. Later on, it seems Keller is still missing after being put in the hole. As Loki recovers from his injuries, Grace comes to visit with Anna, Nancy, and Joy. Grace talks to Loki, telling him Keller hasn't contacted her, and asks if Loki will find him. She says she misses him, and that he did what he had to do to find Anna. Back at Holly's, Loki watches the excavators leave. But here's Keller whistle down in the hole, and the screen goes black. Follow us today to a 2018 British-American science fiction thriller titled Anon. Before we start, be aware, there are spoilers. Our story begins a man named Sal Freeland walking amongst people in a city area in the not-too-distant future. He is a detective and his eyes read everyone's identity and social status as he looks at them. Not only people, but almost everything he looks at. It is a world where everyone is connected to the central computer via their brain and eyes. As he walks a little further, a young woman showing unknown error walks by. He turns and watches her walk away, wondering why her details aren't shown. We see Freeland enter a building and walk to his office. We see him interviewing a man called Dominic Ray, who is inquiring about his son who hasn't returned his calls. Freeland enters a classified site and shows Dominic his son Jonas approaching the edge of a building and stepping up onto the edge where he waits momentarily before jumping to his death. We see Freeland interviewing other people with inquiries. And each time he can look at their files to determine the truth. As Freeland is interviewing a man, he gets a message from someone who has just died. He gets up and walks out. Now, Freeland is at a crime scene talking to a man named Charles Gattis. A victim known as James Cray lies dead on the floor. As Freeland watches the playback, Gattis tells him that the killer has hacked Cray's eyes, and now Cray sees what the killer sees before he is shot. Some serious hacking going on here. Gattis tells Freeland that it matches another case in Baltimore in July, which has the same MO. Gattis tells Freeland that the last visitor there was a female with no identity. Freeland tells Gattis about the woman he saw earlier that day with no digital footprint. He sends Gattis the file of the woman. Later, in his apartment, he is with his girlfriend, but at the same time, he is watching the file of the unknown woman again. His girlfriend gets annoyed and leaves. He looks again, but the file of the woman is gone. Now, Freeland and Gattis are talking with Detective Lester about the two mystery cases. They realize they have no way to find the girl, no name, and no face matched. As Freeland arrives home, he stays in his car and looks at a memory of a young boy lying on some grass. He calls his ex-wife Kristen and tells her that tomorrow would have been their son's 10th birthday. It seems as though their son is dead. Kristen tells him to stop reminding her of him. Now, we see Freeland receiving a file of another shooting where two women have been shot dead, and the method is the same as the other two mystery murders. He is talking to police officer Gasper at the crime scene, who tells him that the housekeeper found the bodies. She saw a woman with long brown hair come in earlier. They hear a noise and go to investigate, thinking it could be the suspect girl. As Gasper steps through a doorway, he is shot dead. Freeland runs through the house and down the stairs in pursuit. He runs outside across the road and down into the subway. The suspect shoots at him, then he falls down the stairs which appear to be altered in some way. On the train platform, he enters a stationary train scanning the passengers. Suddenly, a train comes in fast and knocks him to the ground. He realizes the train he was looking in wasn't really there. At the police station, Freeland is talking with Gattis and other officers about the recent case with the two killed women. Freeland tells them about the image at the train station that she was able to alter. They realize that she is a contractor who can be hired. Freeland has a plan for catching the girl. He will pretend to be a stockbroker who has a fiancé, but hires a girl for his service. Then he will pay the brown-haired girl to erase the call girl service from his records. Lester will wait in the adjoining apartment as backup. After posting a notice for help, she comes to his apartment. She scans his records of the call girl and erases each image, replacing them with something simple like his apartment's images. He tries to question her about her methods, but she's reluctant to give him too much information. When he says he might remember her, she pulls a gun on him and tells him to turn around. The door slams and she's gone. Lester appears and says he got her proxy, but not her record, yet. At the police station, Freeland is talking to Gattis. Then he meets with Cyrus Freer and the other tech specialist. Together, they access the girl's proxy so they can see what she is seeing. They watch her in her own apartment, but they can't find her location. They watch her meeting with another client named Jesper Nix and erase memories of his meeting with someone called Max Keener. The team watches her all night and they still can't find her location. As Freeland is talking with Gattis, a staff member comes and tells them that Nix is now dead and was killed the same way as the others. Now, the bureau commissioner called Joseph Kinect is addressing the tech group and Freeland. He wants this level of anonymity stopped because it will make all crime possible. He tells Freeland that they have to know where everyone is and what they are doing at all times. Gattis tells Freeland he's going back undercover to meet her again. This time, Freeland buys some drugs from a street supplier and contacts the girl again to come and see him. When she arrives, she seems a little more interested in him this time. They sit together and she talks about how she started to become anonymous. Then they spend the night having some fun. Later, when she goes into the bathroom, she looks back at some of his history and sees a policeman looking at him. That's when she sees his true identity as a police detective, not a stockbroker. In the bedroom, Fryland hears a gunshot. He runs outside, but she's gone. Detective Lester, who was in the adjoining apartment, has been shot dead. We see the girl riding on a train when she calls Sal. She says if he tries to find her again, he'll be dead. Now, we see Fryland in his own apartment and pours himself a drink. Then he gets a message he assumes is from the girl. He sees images in his head that seem so real. He sees a thug chasing him down an alley and beating him up. Next, he sees a large ferocious dog attacking him. Now, he's back in his apartment and he sees hundreds of rats. He knows in his mind that they're not really there. Now, he sees himself in the past, all the memories of his son until he was hit and killed by a car. Later, Fryland tries to recall some memories of his son, but as each memory comes up, they disappear. He calls Kristen, but all her memories of him are also gone. As he is looking at her, she disappears as well. Fryland walks out into the corridor and it looks like the corridor is burning. The fire stops, but then he almost shoots his neighbor. When the elevator arrives and the door opens, it's empty. He is about to step in when he realizes the elevator isn't actually there. Now we see Fryland driving his car. When he gets to an intersection, the street looks clear. As he proceeds, he is hit by other cars and the street is full of traffic. Fryland tells Gatiss that he can't trust his own eyes anymore because she keeps putting images in his head and he doesn't even know what's real anymore. Another detective approaches and says that Fryland is under arrest for killing his neighbor. At the station, Fryland tells the other officers that she is framing him to keep him off the case. Gatiss tells him he is under house arrest and he will be under surveillance. An officer drives him home, and as he enters his apartment, the officer and Cyrus Freer watch Fryland through his eyes. After a couple of drinks, Fryland opens a drawer at his side and takes out a gun and places it under his jacket. This is unseen by the officer and Freer. He pretends to go to sleep, then gets up with his eyes closed and makes his way down to the car, then knocks out the officer. Fryland walks to a building, then goes upstairs to the girl's apartment. He draws his gun, but she is there and convinces him to put down his gun. She tells him that someone else is killing her customers and making it look like it was her. She shows him her file when she leaves his apartment after the gunshot was fired. She left his apartment and found Lester dead when she left the building. Fryland isn't sure if he can trust her. They hear police sirens, then she leaves. Gatiss and Freer arrive and Fryland tells them he believes her story, but Gatiss suspends him and places him under house arrest, again to be watched. In his apartment, he looks out of the window at the 2 police cars parked downstairs. The girl hacks his eyes, and what the police can see is Fryland sitting on his sofa drinking coffee. She sends him a message that she wants to see him again. She hacks the police and sends him on a false emergency. Fryland loads his gun, but someone is hacking his eyes. Someone shoots him, but the girl shoots the other person. Now we see Freer. It is him, the mystery killer since the beginning. He is the one who has been making it look like the girl was the killer. He tells her they can be together now and free, but Fryland is slowly reaching for his gun. In a quick moment, Fryland rolls over and shoots Freer, wounding him. Freer grabs the girl and goes into the corridor, but Fryland follows them without looking at them. In the corridor, Freer tries to shoot Fryland, but Fryland is too quick and shoots Freer, killing him. The girl looks at Fryland as she walks past, then leaves. Sometime later, we see Joseph Kinect asking Gatiss why he didn't know who Freer really was. Gatiss tells him that it was he who recommended Freer for the position. Kinect says no, he just made it look that way. Kinect asks Fryland who the girl is, where she is, and if he's going to look for her. Fryland doesn't answer. He simply turns and walks away. Now we see Fryland standing alone near the river with the memory of his son yet again. Suddenly, the girl is standing near him. She says she's sorry that she was unable to warn him. She tells him they have found her record, but only because she gave it to them. They can't find her because she uses an algorithm that stops them. She tells him that anyone can do what she does if they just try hard enough. She tells him that he spends his whole life looking at other people. She has nothing to hide. She doesn't want other people to be watching her. She simply wants her privacy. As he watches her turn and walk away, her image flickers and disappears. Like and subscribe to watch more videos like this. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. That really helps my channel. Thanks for watching.